Yeah. All right, well, my text verse this morning is Genesis 25, verse 21 through 23. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife, because she was barren. And the Lord was entreated of him. And Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her. And she said, If it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord. And the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people. They shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other people, and the elder shall serve the younger. Let's go to the Lord in a word of prayer. Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you that our pastor is back safe, and I pray that we can all take something out of your word, Lord, and I just pray that we can all go out into the world and show our love for not only each other, but for the rest of the world, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Verse 23 is the entire story of Israel and Edom and Jacob and Esau in one verse, which means I'm done. I can leave. But no, it starts in verse 21. Isaac prayed for his wife because she couldn't have kids, and God answered that prayer, and she conceived. But the children were struggling within her. Already in the womb, they were fighting. And she went to the Lord and said, What is going on? What's happening? And he told her, You're going to have twins. And these 2 will be 2 great nations. But from the moment that they are born, they'll be separated, and they will fight. One will be stronger than the other, and the elder will serve the younger. And when they're born, Esau comes first, and he is hairy. That's what his name means, hairy. And then there comes Jacob. And when he is born, what does he do? Verse 24 through 26, Behold, there were twins in their womb. First came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. And after that came his brother, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob. It means heel grasper. That's what Jacob means. Heel grasper. Grabbing what isn't his from the womb. It also means deceiver or supplanter. He will deceive and he will supplant Esau as the heir, as the firstborn. But if we read on, verse 28, And Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. They were favorite children by the parents. You ever had a sibling who was the favorite child? Or were you the favorite child of one of your parents? It creates jealousy. It creates a rivalry between you and your siblings. But I want to be their favorite. And what can happen is you try to trip them up in places. I remember growing up, we had Dylan and Kaylee at our house. And because Dad didn't get to see them much, he would do stuff for them because he didn't get to see them much. And to us, it looked like he favored them. It's just because he didn't get to see them, but that's how it felt. Well, he bought Kaylee gum one time, and we were not allowed to touch it. Well, I ate all of it. But I blamed Dylan. I blamed it on Dylan, and he took the blame for it eventually. But jealousy causes us to do things that we wouldn't normally do. It can create animosity between siblings. And while Jacob was Rebekah's favorite, Esau was Isaac's favorite. Could you imagine your father favoring your brother more than you? To the point that even after you were supposed to get a blessing, he will hide it from you to go give it to his favorite son. But reading on verse 27, Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field. He loved being outside. That's where he lived. He was a cunning hunter. He was a strategic hunter. When he was outside, no one was better than him. But if we read the next part of the verse, Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. He didn't want to be outside. If he was outside, he was uncomfortable. He hated it. He wanted to be inside. Already, these children, or these grown men now, as different as they can be. But we also learn about Esau. He's impulsive. He lives in the moment. All he cares about is his physical comfort at that moment. He makes bad decisions simply because it suits him in the moment. Perfect example of this, Genesis 26, 34 and 35. Esau was 40 years old when he took to wife Judith, the daughter of Beri the Hittite, and Bashemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, which were a grief of mind unto Isaac and Rebekah. He's not concerned about what his family thinks. He's not concerned about the well-being of his family. He just wants to be happy. He wants his current life to be satisfied, which means he didn't care about any future blessing, any future birthright, any future promise that God had given him, because he was the firstborn, and he had the birthright to everything. But what is the birthright? It's ruling the family. Once the father passes, he gets everything that was the father's besides the son's inheritance, besides the second son's inheritance. And he is now the head of the family, the head of the household. He also he gets a blessing from Isaac, a greater blessing, and he inherits the promise that was made to Abraham. But he didn't really care about it because it was in the future. And because of that, he makes an unfair trade. In Genesis 25, verse 29 and 30, Jacob sawed pottage, and Esau came from the field, and he was faint. And Esau said to Jacob, "Feed me, I pray thee, with that same red pottage, for I am faint." Therefore his name was called Edom. This is lentil soup. Lentil was very cheap in this area. It was very easy to grow, easy to make. This is basically, I want basically nothing. I want a can of beans, is what he's asking for. But he's so tired, he couldn't even think of the name for it. He called it red stuff. Can I have that red stuff? And here's where it says he's called Edom. This is Jacob mocking him. He's like, hey, Red, you want this soup? Okay, if you want this soup, I want your birthright. I want it. And he's mocking his brother for being in an exhausted state and calling it red stuff. And that's where Edom comes from. It means red. And two, he's taking advantage of him. He says, I want your birthright. But Esau, he didn't really care. So, verse 34, Jacob gave Esau bread and pottage of lentils, and he did eat and drink, and he rose up and went his way. Thus Esau despised his birthright. He didn't care about it. He didn't argue or try to give a counteroffer. He just okay, and gave it away. He didn't want his birthright. He serves himself, what he wants physically. And Jacob takes advantage of it. He's a schemer, and he is cunning. And we see that again during the blessing. Now, because Jacob has the birthright, he's supposed to get the blessing from the father, a greater blessing. But Isaac schemes here too. It's not the first time he's done something dishonest. In chapter 26, he lies about Rebekah. He is dwelling in a foreign land, and they say, "Is this your wife?" He says, "No, it's my sister." And he lies. In his own self-interest, because he thought that they would kill him, but still a lie. It's still dishonest. And then he wanted to give the blessing to his favorite son, instead of the one who was supposed to get it. And he calls him in alone. It says in chapter 27, verse 1, "It came to pass that when Isaac was old, and his eyes were dim so that he could not see, he called Esau, his eldest son, and said unto him, My son. And he said unto him, Behold, here I am. And now he said, Behold now, I am old, I know not the day of my death. Now therefore, take, I pray thee, thy weapons, thy quiver, and thy bow, and go out into the field, and take me some venison. Make me savory meat, such as I love, and bring it to me, that I may eat, that my soul may bless thee before I die." He's blind. This is very important later. He can't see. And he's old, he's close to death. And he wants to give his blessing to Esau, because he loves him more. But what we hear is just two words, Rebekah heard. That's it. Rebekah heard. And instead of going to Isaac and confronting him about it, she schemes back. This is a family of people who scheme on each other. And she schemes to trick her husband. In verse 9 and 10, she's giving commandments to Jacob when she calls him. Says, he's going to do this. He's going to give the blessing to Esau. But we can trick him, and he will give you that blessing. He says, go now to the flock, and fetch me from thence 2 good kids of the goats, and I will make them savory meat for thy father, such as he loveth. But he wanted venison. Well, goats and venison, they're both lean meat. You could pass one off as the other. They taste different, but similar enough to pass off. And thou shalt bring it to thy father, that he may eat, and that he may bless thee before his death. Now, Jacob, he doesn't say, we can't trick him. It'd be dishonest. No, what does he say? We can't trick him because I'm smooth. Esau is hairy, and he will feel me. And it says, Jacob said to Rebekah his mother, behold, Esau my brother is a hairy man. I am a smooth man. My father, peradventure, will feel me, and I shall seem to him a deceiver. That's important. I shall seem to him a deceiver. He doesn't want to call himself a deceiver, but it's what he is. But he doesn't accept that yet. He's not even honest with himself. It says, I shall bring a curse upon me and not a blessing. He doesn't object to tricking his father at all. He just doesn't think it'll work. But Rebekah tells him to go and do it anyways. It says, and he went and he fetched, and he brought them to his mother. And his mother made savory meat, such as his father loved. And Rebekah took goodly raiments of her eldest son Esau, which were in her house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son. And she put the skins of the kids of the goats upon his hands and upon the smooth of his neck. She starts cultivating a costume, a disguise, a way to fool Isaac. Puts fur on his hands and neck to cover up that he is smooth, he is not hairy, and puts him in his clothes so that he will smell like Esau. And now, what was Rebekah's lie becomes Jacob's lie. He goes in, first thing he says is a lie. We're going to count the lies in this conversation. And he came unto his father and said, my father. He said, here I am. Who art thou, my son? And Jacob said unto his father, I am Esau, thy firstborn. That's lie number 1. I have done according as thou badest me. And that's lie number 2. He didn't do anything. Arise, I pray thee, sit and eat of my venison. It's lie 3. It's not venison. It's goat. That thy soul might bless me. And Isaac said unto his son, how is it that you found it so quickly? He's already seeing through it. He's already skeptical that this is Esau. And he said, because the Lord thy God brought it to me. That's lie 4. And this time, he implicates God in the lie. People do that all the time these days. They'll say, on God's name, this is true, when they're lying. You think God feels good about that? You think he likes it when people do that? When they lie using his name? God doesn't like that very much. And Isaac said unto Jacob, come near, I pray thee, that I may feel thee, my son, whether thou be very son Esau or not. He's suspicious, the entirety of the lie. He thinks, I don't think you're Esau. In verse 22, and Jacob went near unto Isaac, his father, and he felt him. And he said, the voice is Jacob's voice, but the hands are the hands of Esau. That's lie number 5. He covered his hands to lie. It's not a vocal lie, it's a physical lie. It's dishonest. And he says it. He's right. The voice is Jacob's voice. We can cover up any part of ourselves, pretend to be anything we want. But our voice will give us away. What we say will give us away. It's hard to cover up the tongue. If we read James chapter 3, we'll only be there for 1-2 verses. For every kind of beast and of birds and of serpents and of things in the sea is tamed, and hath been tamed of mankind. But the tongue can no man tame. It is an unruly evil. It's full of deadly poison. It's full of poison. But why is the tongue full of poison? Well, if we read Matthew 12, verse 34, O generation of vipers, how can ye, being evil, speak good things. For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. If you have evil in your heart, it'll come through your mouth. Our tongues give away our heart. But if you fill your mind with thoughts of God, and you fill your heart with God's love, then what you say will be of God. It will be of God's love. It'll be easier to speak of God. And if you say anything while your thoughts are of evil, either one, it's bad to say, or two, you lie and not say what you truly mean, and that is what's evil. That is the poison. And the voice is what almost gave Jacob away. But he discerned him not, because his hands were hairy as his brother Esau's hands, so he blessed him. But then he says again, "Are you sure you're Esau?" He still doesn't believe him. And before he gives him another blessing, he needs to check again. And he said, "I am." That's line number 6. 6 times now that he has lied to his father in one conversation. And he said, "Bring it near to me, and I will eat of my son's venison, that my soul may bless thee." And he brought it near to him, and he did eat. And he brought him wine and drank. I think that was on purpose. He was getting too skeptical, getting too close, so he brought him wine to cloud his judgment. And he says, "Come near now and kiss me, my son." And he came near and kissed him. And he smelt the smell of his raiment. That's line number 7. That's another part of this costume. That's a lie. It's not his raiment at all. But it gives him the smell of Esau. He said, "See, the smell of my son is the smell of the field which the Lord hath blessed." 7 times that he lied to his father in one conversation, just to get a blessing. And as he was leaving, Esau was coming in. They passed each other as they went. I don't think they literally passed each other, or he would have been confused about why he looked like a goat. But then we read on, Isaac his father said unto them, "Who art thou?" That's when Esau came in. He says, "I'm here, I've done what you said." "But who are you?" And he said, "I am thy son, I am Esau." And Isaac trembled very exceedingly. And he said, "Who?" But Esau was just here. And I have blessed him. And he brought it to me, and I have eaten of all before thou camest, and have blessed him, and he shall be blessed. This trick has now fallen onto Esau. And Isaac realizes, if you were Esau, then the person who came before you was your brother. And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceedingly bitter cry, and said to his father, "Bless me, even me also, O my father." An exceedingly bitter cry. That phrase is only used one other time. It's in Esther 4:1. When the plot about the Jews is discovered, what they're going to do, he goes out into the street, puts on sackcloth, and cries a great and exceedingly bitter cry. This is disastrous to him. His world is shattered because he wanted this blessing. He didn't want the birthright. It's too much work. It was the future. But the blessing could affect him now. Going on in verse 35, and he said, "Thy brother came with subtlety, and hath taken away thy blessing." And he said, "Is he not rightly named Jacob? For he has supplanted me these 2 times. And he took away my birthright, and behold, he hath taken away my blessing." He didn't care about the birthright ever. Until now, when not because of what it is, but because of who has taken it from him. It's his brother. And that now that he has taken something that he did care about, all of a sudden he cares. But my birthright. And he asks, "Do you have a blessing reserved for me?" And he did, but it was a lesser blessing. It wasn't the great blessing, it was a lesser blessing. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, "The days of mourning for my father are at hand. Then I will slay my brother Jacob. He is so bitter. This sorrow has turned to rage. And now he wants to kill Jacob. First he took something that he didn't care about, but now he takes the blessing. And he is bitter. But again, Rebekah finds out. Rebekah was told what he said. She told Jacob to run to her brother Laban. And we'll skip over a part of that. Genesis 28 verse 12. As he's walking through the wilderness, it's night, so he lays down and he puts rocks under his head as pillows. This is the same man who hates being outside. He is comfortable inside. He loves being in the tent. When Esau was out hunting, he was inside making food. And now he has to lay on rocks as pillows. And he dreamed, and behold, a ladder set up to the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God ascending and descending on it. And behold, the Lord stood above it, and said, I am the Lord, God of Abraham thy father, and thy God of Isaac. And the land whereon thou layest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed. And thy seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and thou shalt spread abroad to the west, and to the east, and to the north, and to the south. And in thee and in thy seed shall all the families of the earth be blessed. And behold, I am with thee, and I will keep thee in all places whither thou goest, and will bring thee again into this land, for I will not leave until I have done that which I have spoken of thee. The promise that was promised to Abraham, that was passed on to Isaac, is now promised to Jacob. But this is right after a massive deception, a massive lie. But this promise is still promised to him and his descendants, and he says, I will be with you wherever you go. But at this place, Jacob made a vow. He said, if God will be with me and will keep me in this way that I go, will give me bread to eat and raiment to put on, so that I come again to my father's house in peace, then shall the Lord be my God. He kind of put a condition on it. But he says, and this stone, which I have set for a pillar, shall be God's house. And of all that thou shalt give me, I will surely give the 10th unto thee. Promise a 10th of whatever he gets to God. That's tithing. He gives the 10th of everything that he gets. I'm trying to get through this because I want to get back to Jacob and Esau. And Jacob went on his journey, and he came into the land of the people of the east. And it came to pass, when Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Jacob went near, and rolled the stone from the well's mouth, and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. I think he was his mother's brother. There's just so many times they say that. And Jacob kissed Rachel, and lifted up his voice, and wept. And Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's brother, and that he was Rebekah's son, and she ran and told her father. Here we get one of the very few times of this early part of Jacob that he is truly honest. He breaks down and he weeps. That is the most honest thing that you can do. Let all of your emotion out. And he let it out for Rachel. And this is where his love for Rachel started. And his walls come down. Just for a moment, his walls come down, and he isn't deceiving anyone. Now I'm going to summarize everything that happened with Laban, so I'm going to read it off of here. So if I'm not picking my head up much, I'm sorry. So Laban welcomed him, and he lived with him for a month. And Laban told him, we're family. You can't serve me for nothing. What are your wages going to be? He says, I want Rachel. I want Rachel as my wife, and I will serve you 7 years for Rachel. And that was the promise that they made. You will have Rachel. And after 7 years of labor, this is Jacob again, he doesn't like labor, he doesn't like being outside, but for 7 years, he does it because he loves Rachel. And Rachel was the younger of the two daughters, Leah, Rachel, Rachel was the second daughter. And after 7 years, he had finally said to Laban, I've done the work. Rachel now. So Laban throws a feast, and he gave her to him, or so he thought, went into a tent when it was dark, couldn't see. And they sent in the daughter, but he was trying the same scheme that he pulled. It was dark, he couldn't see, and he was expecting a sibling to come in. And they sent the wrong sibling. And now he was married to Leah. He said, why have you done this to me? Why have you pulled this trick on me? What did Laban say? It's not custom in our country to give the younger before the older. That's Jacob's entire life to this point, the younger before the older. And now he's being told, no, the younger doesn't go before the older. And he's been deceived by his own deception. His own lie was reversed onto him. So he decides, I will serve more for Rachel, because that's how much he loved her. He was served more years, and his wages were changed 3 times across that. And once he finally had Rachel, Leah and Rachel got into a race of sorts. Leah conceived 3 children. Rachel envied her. Until finally, during this race, they were both giving maids to give children. Rachel finally conceived Joseph. And Jacob finally wanted to leave Laban, take his wives and his children, and go. He wanted to leave. He wanted to go back home. But Laban made him an offer. Jacob would tend for his flock and give any spotted of the flock for Jacob. So any spotted of the flock, they go to Jacob. That's the deal. But again, Laban schemes against him. And he goes, and before he gives the flock to Jacob, he pulls all the spotted out, and he gives them to his sons. When he got there, he was treated as his own son. But now, he is scheming against him, because he has his own sons to give them to. But, through God's blessing, his grace, and some weird breeding practices, Jacob, he ended up with a bigger flock than Laban did. And God tells him to leave. And they left. After a conversation with Laban, they ran. But during that, Rachel stole her father's idols. The deceiver and the stealer's wife is now scheming and stealing herself. It's spreading to his family. And Laban chased them, and he asked, why have you taken my idols? And he tore apart Jacob's camp. And she lied. She sat on a saddlebag filled with the idols and said, I can't move. I think the exact phrase is, the way of the woman is upon me. She's using herself as the lie. And after a confrontation with Laban, they make a covenant. They make a pact. And Jacob called the place Gilead. Laban was a deceiver. He was just like Jacob. And he had Jacob face exactly what he had done. And yet, Jacob, he's not fully changed yet. He's still scheming. How quickly did I get through that? That was pretty good. I went off script a little bit, but that's okay. Going to Genesis 32, verse 3 and 5. He's ready to meet Esau again. This is Esau, his brother, who is furious with him, who is trying to kill him, and he had to flee. Now, it's been decades at this point. So he sends messengers before him. And he says, and Jacob sent messengers before him to Esau, his brother, unto the land of Seir, the country of Edom. The mocking nickname has now become its own nation. And he's afraid. And he's commanded them, saying, thus shall I speak unto my lord Esau, the servant Jacob. He's trying to bargain. You are my lord, and I am your servant, if you will not kill me. And he says, I have sojourned with Laban, and stayed there until now. I have oxen and asses, flocks and manservants and womenservants, and I have sent to tell my lord that I may find grace in thy sight. I have all this stuff, and it'll be yours, just don't kill me. And his messengers come back with an answer from Esau. What did he say? I'm coming to meet you, and I have 400 men with me, and we are going to kill you. In verse 7, then Jacob was greatly afraid and distressed, and he divided his people, and the flocks and the herds and the camels into 2 bands. And he said, if Esau comes to one company and smite it, then the other company which is left shall escape. He's not facing his problems head on. He's still scheming. He's still trying to come up with any way to get around his issues instead of facing them head on. He's still being Jacob. He's still being a schemer, the heel grabber. And then Jacob prays. Verse 9, and Jacob said, O God of my father Abraham, and God of my father Isaac, the Lord which saidst to me, return unto thy country and to thy kindred, and I will deal well with thee. I am not worthy of the least of all the mercies and of the truth, which thou hast showed upon thy servant. I'm not worthy of it. He's finally starting to be honest. But not fully, but he's getting there. He's being honest. I'm not worthy of the mercy. And he says, for with my staff I have passed over this Jordan, and now I have become 2 bands. Deliver me, I pray thee, from the hand of my brother, from the hand of Esau. For I fear him, lest he will come and smite me, and the mother of my children. And thou sayest, I will surely do thee good, and make thy seed as the sands of the sea, which cannot be numbered for the multitude. I think he's bargaining here. He's saying, you said you would do this, you would protect me. Please do that, because I'm afraid. And after this, what does he do? He sends waves of flock as a gift for Esau to soften his rage. And he sent his family off, and he spent the night alone. But when he was left alone, in verse 24, there wrestled a man with him until the breaking of day. It doesn't say who this man is yet. It just says that he was a man. And when he saw that he prevailed not against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled with him. He dislocated his thigh. This is where walking happens. This is out of place. You cannot walk very well. And this is the point where Jacob stops wrestling, and he starts clinging to this man. He clings on. He will not let go. And he weeps, and he says, I will not let you go unless you bless me. Again, he's asking for a blessing. But this time, he's not scheming for it. He's not lying for it. He's holding on. He's being truthful, and he is fighting for it. He's not fighting against the man now, but he is holding on. In verse 27, and he said unto him, what is thy name? He said his name is Jacob. He finally admits, names are important. Your name in this day was who you were. He says, I am Jacob. I am the deceiver. And he goes on and he says, no, you will no more be called Jacob. You are Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask me my name? Why do you ask my name? And he blessed him there. And Jacob called the place Peniel, for I have seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Jacob finally names the man. It's God. I believe it's an angel sent by God. But it says in other places that he won this battle. How did he win? His thigh was out of socket, and he was on the ground holding on. So how did he win? How did he prevail? Well, Hosea 12, verse 4, yea, he had power over the angel and prevailed, and he wept and made supplication unto him. He found him in Bethel, and there he spake with us. He stopped fighting. He stopped fighting God. And instead, he said, you are stronger than I am. And he wept and pleaded for God's favor. And that's how he won. Romans 7, the man there, he's doing everything in his own power, and it doesn't work. Until, verse 24, the wretched man that I am. That's when you win. Because that's when God sees, I am not greater. And that's when you win. Because you're giving it up to God. The wrestling turned into clinging. We should cling to God. If we fight against God, it's dark, we won't win. And we will never stop unless, instead of fighting, we cling to God and say, bless me, have favor with me. And that is when daybreak happens. That is our Penuel, like Jacob's. And we cling for a blessing. And then verse 31, as he passed over the Penuel, the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. He's now walking with a limp. He walks with this limp for the rest of his life as a reminder. I don't flee anymore. I can't flee. And I have given it up to God. And he was injured, and he walks with a limp as he goes to face Esau, his brother who wants him dead. He can't run, he has to face him, because what other choice does he have? In verse 3, he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. He bowed 7 times. I don't know if I am reading into this. 7 times he lied to his father, and 7 times he bows. I might be reading into that, but I find that the Bible, with the way it uses numbers, it's always symbolic. And he's limping the whole way, showing he is powerless. And he faced Esau, and he got near to Esau. What does it say Esau did? Did he fight him? No. Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. Esau saw his brother bowing and limping. No longer Jacob, no longer the man who deceived him. He is now Israel. And he was seeking vengeance. And instead they reconciled. In closing, the pianist and song leader will come forward. He's seeking vengeance. If you lie, if you sin against others, they can seek vengeance upon you. But if you ask for forgiveness, not only from God, but from those that you have wronged, there's a spider. Whether it's... I lost my train of thought. Spiders are evil, man. Your tongue can get you in trouble if you're full of evil thoughts. Ask God to help you tame what man cannot. That poisonous tongue. Ask God to make a change in your life, whether it's salvation or rededication or for strength to be better. If you have sinned, ask forgiveness from God and those you have wronged. As we sing, what page?